Okay, I'm back here for part 2 of the Steamflex Graflex replica, brass Graflex replica lightsaber, and we got all the lights on. We got out the better camera, so we're in close-up mode, and I will start from the emitter and work my way down to the pommel. Before I get started, the DIYino card in here, I got to give some shout-outs to, of course, Andros, who I did in the first video, and then I know that Jakesoft had a lot to do with the development of this card. DJ Wing, who was responsible for the one button mode, and if I didn't mention it before, this card can go back and forth between one button mode and two button mode if you want your aux back. I just enjoy the one button mode because it's different. And then of course JB Kuma, he needs a shout out because he's done some really tricked out things with the programming on this, and done things like power level indicator, lights on the blade, and I'm going to put all the links below to the videos to these guys and what they're doing with this card, and it's pretty amazing stuff. Also, I got to give a shout out to number 1 Ober1, I think it's Ober, Oberone, on eBay. He's the one that I got this Hilt from, and I don't know how he makes these if they're cut from raw brass tubing. But it is an identical one-to-one replica of a Graflex, and it's interchangeable with my Graflex parts, so thanks to him for that. This is an amazing Hilt, and I've got another one that I'm going to get chromed and do something really special with that one as well. So let's get going on this. I will start at the emitter, and so one of the things that I've done with this is put a blade plug in it, and it's a very special kind of blade plug because it has a bulb built into it, which I'll show at the end. The same RGBW Cree star LED that I had in the Shoto length blade, I can unscrew it from the end of that blade and put it in a blade plug or any other length or type, whether it be an enhanced day blade or just an enhanced blade, any length, any color. So that's kind of nice as far as the blade plug goes on this, because I'm sure a lot of you were thinking, like, as I'm showing it off, well, that's a bummer. It doesn't have like a blade plug that lights up because there's just a female socket in there with no light. Well, I'll show after I activate the sound card and run through the outside of the hilt that this lights up and goes through all the RGBW color settings right here in the blade plug. So that kind of worked out well too. Starting from the emitter on this, this came with some brass cutout bunny ears, and because this saber was meant for a 7/8 inch blade, what I had to do was open them up, and so I cut with the Dremel and shaped these so that it'll now accept a 1-inch blade, because I used the 1-inch aluminum blade holder from TCSS. I stripped all of the anodizing off of it, or the powder coating, I'm not sure which I used, because I wanted it to be silver for the Steamflex effect. So that's the blade plug in here. Now, another thing that I've done that's pretty cool, let me go ahead and fire it up so you guys can see the lights as I go down the hilt. But let's separate the hilt, and you can see the Steamflex logo. Did this on the laser cutter. So let's get around to the turn kill key and fire it up, and I'll let you guys hear the boot up sound, which is just a custom boot up sound that I did for myself, and a shameless self-promotion. Haha. Here we go.
The Steamflex Lightsaber was constructed by Master Maltese of the Jedi on Steamer's Outpost.
Okay, so that's the boot. And then I've cut a slot in here on the hilt, and then there's another one that matches up to it, so when you put it together and you turn it and you lock it down, one of the blue LEDs that's an accent light on the Arduino card actually goes through the Steamflex logo. Just gives it kind of a nice eerie blue glow in there. And then one of the things that kind of worked out on the laser cutter is, I don't know if you can see it, but there's an Imperial logo on the red button, and this is a red translucent button that I made. And the way this works is, if you unscrew this, you can go back to, you know, the standard red button, which would make it, you know, Graflex accurate. not that it would be anymore at this point. And then there's a blue one that's translucent that can go in there as well. And so down the road, I'm going to make a green one and a yellow one, all with different logos. This one has the Jedi logo on it. And I can put all kinds of different buttons in there. This is a 10mm LED that I shaved down, and it'll go in there as well. If I'm just looking for something, you know, that looks kind of steampunk in there. So that was a lot of fun, coming up with the different buttons and everything in here. On the bottom side, this is a shine through glass eye, but this is one of the glass marbles that I have with glow in the dark infused material in it. So, you know, when it lights up and then you shut the saber off, this continues to glow. It's kind of like a green glowing orb in there. After you shut the saber off, it continues to glow. I went with a thumb screw on this just to make it easier to take apart and use for blade retention. And so one of the other things that I really like about this hilt that I discovered after the fact is when it came in the mail, it was pretty cleaned up, you know, just a little bit polished. And then the more that because it's brass, the more that I handled it, the more that I messed around with it, and you can actually see where I took the beer tab off recently from here. It got really weathered looking, which I really liked about this, because one of the things I love about this hilt is that it weathers itself the more and more I handle it. So what I'm gonna do is I'll make a third video after I polish this all up. In about a week or so from now, I'm gonna polish this all up to, like, you know, as mirrored polished brass as I can get it. And these are hand cut copper strips with a Dremel, and so I'll get it all pristine looking, and I'll have to handle it with some gloves so it doesn't get tarnished fingerprints on it right away. But that was one of the other things I really liked about this hilt, is that it weathers itself, which is pretty cool. So we've got your standard Graflex clamp and your lever, and then, like I said, these are copper cutout strips that can be polished. They need to be cleaned up a little bit more. Again, this is a progress video. And then I put these crazy security bolts on here, these star security bolts, with like the gear washers on here for the steampunk look. And this is how I wore it at San Diego Comic-Con this year, and it was pretty cool. Got a lot of questions and stuff about it, and so it was quite the hit there. That was nice. And then we get to the pommel, and we've got some more gear stuff going on down here. It's vented for sound down here at the bottom. And so one of the things that I'm gonna do, because, you know, it's never finished, is you can take all these screws out and these will come off. And I have leather strips that'll go on here. I've got brass strips that'll go on here, so you can change the look of the saber between the glass eye down here, the different acrylic buttons up top. Whoops. Hey, look at that, turn it on accidentally. And then I've got like copper screws, chrome screws, bolts, all kinds of things that'll go down here that will constantly change the look of this saber. And so one of the other things I'm thinking about doing is when next time I remove the copper grips, is putting like some Death Star style kind of elongated, you know, the oval looking windows underneath, so if you can remove all this stuff, you can see the crystal chamber and everything without having to split open the hilt, you know, right through the windows. Underneath this, they'll be hidden. So that's a future plan down the road. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and open up the back half of the hilt, and you guys can see it in reveal mode. And this is a fully removable chassis, which we'll do right now, actually, because I'm gonna, once I take it out of here, I'm gonna go from emitter to pommel again. And so, real easy to get apart. Pull off the clamp next, and it comes all the way off. And then that's why I went with this thumb screw. We'll go ahead and undo the thumb screw. Set it to the side. Glass eye. Set it to the side. And there's your half marble in there. Glow in the dark half marble. And then we'll take the button out. And so I actually used, it's like a lower light version of the Cree in there. That's a pretty bright white light. It's like from a flashlight, like a Cree flashlight. And so it's cool because it lights up all the different colors of acrylic, no matter, you know, what color I put on there. purple or red or blue because it takes a lot of light to light up these buttons. I'll show you the blue. You can see that it's turned down quite a bit. Like if I put the blue in there, you know, that's a lot of acrylic for it to go to. So I put a pretty nice bright white light in there. All right, let's go ahead and pull it out and show off the chassis. And then we'll start with the emitter end. Again, this is the blade plug, and it works just like the other blade. When I put it into the Shoto length star LED blade, when I've got the programming set up for that. So I did kind of like a copper gear steampunk with the turbine look underneath it, and so that came out kind of sweet. So let's see, power it back down. And so there you go, there's your steampunk wire piping. And I've got the main and the aux switch all in here. And I don't know if I'm gonna do covers on this or not. I kind of like the way, you know, it looks kind of steampunk with the wire, you know, decorated like copper piping and stuff. And so then we get down to this section and we get into like the triple post chassis setup, like I like to do, with a mixture of brass and aluminum and stainless steel and clear acrylic. So the card is hidden underneath this section right here with stainless steel laser etched panels. And then to hold the panels in, I took rods of acrylic, which are kind of like a really thick fiber optic, and put it in there to hold the stainless steel panels in place. So same thing here, we've got some brass screen and it's held in. And this is just another section of covering for the card. You can see the DIYino card in there, and then the very end of it sticking out. It's like a blue card. And then you can see that the battery is coated with chrome brass. And then moving further down the card, there's your SD card access, and I put like kind of like a crystal chamber disc split in there, and when you pop it out, it actually kind of comes out at a 90-degree angle. And then you have more brass screen in the wiring section. Here's the turn kill key and recharge port with a metal top to it, a metal gear. And then I ran some fiber optics down through the crystal chamber, and the larger ones actually travel down into the wiring section, and you can see I've angled them and sanded them so that you get points of light down underneath this screen. So, and then of course we've got some copper piping in here with brass ends, copper gears in between the support rods. These are brass tubes to hide the wires, and I put windows in them to show the wires running through on the inside up through the speaker. This uses a double terminated clear quartz crystal and has the Jedi Arms dealer exclusive remote control infrared RGB LED in here that you've seen in the other videos, that I can control with a miniature remote control, make it any color, make it do effects, and all that. So this is a custom speaker housing. And then another sort of custom thing I wanted to try to do was make different speaker grills. So right now there's an Imperial logo speaker grill in here, and I can switch it out to use the triple hole pattern to switch it out to the Rebel logo, a Jedi logo, all done on the laser cutter. And then this was just kind of like a steampunk gear theme that I did for a speaker cover as well. And then one of the other fun things I did for the Hilt is made custom clamp cards. And I think you guys already saw the steampunk version, or I'm sorry, the Steamflex version right here. Got it upside down. So that's clear with the Steamflex logo etched in there. And then here's all the different clamp cards I came up with. This is like a red Steamflex mirrored acrylic on the laser cutter, and actually etches out the back of it. And then you've got your A New Hope, or I'm sorry, your ESB clear acrylic clamp card. And then little Obi-Wan style. Yep. And then your standard bubble strip that can go in there as well. So, you know, I kind of designed this saber to be customizable so that you could change the look of it all the time, which kind of goes along with the whole steampunk theme. And yeah, so I guess the last font that I have to show off, let me go into config mode. My better half is a huge Harry Potter fan, and so I had to do a custom Harry Potter font for her. So here we go.
Config mode, sound font.
Oh, next one. And I think it's one more.
It was foolish of you to come here tonight, Tom. The orders are on their way, by which time I shall be gone.
All right. And so this is the one I set up for her. Whoops. Forgot to take it out of config mode. Let's do that again. Okay, let's take it out of config mode and fire it up.
DIYino jukebox.
Okay. And there's also a jukebox in here. I'm glad that happened because now I get to show this part of it off. You can do up to 99 tracks on the SD card, and so it has a built-in jukebox as well. Kind of like the Crystal Focus or some of the upper cards on Nigon Electronics. Alright, so let's go back to our, I call it Wizard War. It's a Harry Potter font. So this is the battle in the Ministry between Voldemort and everybody. And then all of your swings and clashes are spells. And then when you go into clash mode, it goes into the other part of the battle. Oops. There it goes. Alright, and the clash. And this is actually the lockup effect. It's all the glass breaking in the Ministry. So, you guys get it. Let me show off the RGBW Cree star LED in the front now that it's powered down. This was quite the meticulous work right here. And what this is I think you might have seen this from the previous video on the Master Replicas conversion, but this is taking it to the next level. This is a brass housing bulb that I've created, and I don't know if you can see all the detail, but there is your RGBW Cree, and I went in and used 30 gauge mil-spec super fine wiring to wire all 4 dies. And so this will do, you know, RGB and W for true color mixing. And then it's all epoxied in there in place. There's resistor electronics, everything in this to keep it, you know, at the right temperature and all that. So there's the bulb for the star LED mode when we upload that program to the DIYino card. I think that pretty much covers it. We'll do one more pass on the chassis, nice and slow. Of course, there's your Ethernet port. And the wiring. Clear acrylic. Oh, and there is the mini USB port that I have to, that's like a small short cable that goes straight into the card and communicates with my Mac when you upload the new programs. And then lots of fiber optics in the crystal chamber. 28mm premium speaker, that's all I had room for the depth. And I think that pretty much covers it, guys. Thanks again for tuning in. We're gonna keep building stuff, and up next is the Kylo Ren prototype Bluetooth light transmitting lightsaber, and I'll be hooking that up to about 4,000 watts of sound in the car, 3 10-inch subs, and I'm sure that the audio will be fuzzy in the car when I fire that up, but at least you guys will get to experience it. All right, you guys take care, and may the force be with you. Enjoy.